and just tearing this whole thing down.
Well, how are we feeling about Bob Melvin, Giants fans, through 36 games?
Play that cut. I want to hear that cut again from Bob Melvin, because it sounds like a guy that's a month in is already pissed off and frustrated and doesn't have an answer. And that's
we got to clean it up. We got to play better. You know, we left home. What were we, one game under 500? We weren't playing very well. I thought that might be a pretty good place for us, being that we hadn't played well, and now we're playing terribly. So we have to clean it up.
Can Bob Melvin clean it up? How are we feeling about Bo Mel? 36 games into the season. We see anything that inspires confidence in this team? We're so quick to dismiss Gabe Kapler. And I get it, Gabe Kapler probably wasn't the guy for this job. Hell, he wasn't. Let's just be honest. Probably should have never been hired, considering what had happened in Philadelphia. But Farhan hired him anyway. He had his puppet. And now we scapegoat Gabe Kapler for everything that happened last season. Well, we all know Farhan's writing out the lineup card. Why is it all on Cap?
I mean, Farhan Zaidi went to the Chris Carter school of fall guys. He got his one in Gabe Kapler, and now potentially Bob Melvin.
Lubman, who's the guy we had on for San Diego? Who's a really good guest? We'll get him on again. Padres. He was a podcaster.
Was he 97.3?
Something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. He was a really good dude. But I'm trying to figure out, for the life of me, why didn't it work out of San Diego with Bo Mel with all that talent?
Machado, Tatis, you get a rise now this year, but Soto last year. You have all those. Snell was a Cy Young last year. Like, how does that not work? Because conventional wisdom, when Bob Melvin left the A's to go to the Padres and everything was getting torn down, everyone knew the writing was on the wall. They had their last hurrah back in 2021. They didn't make the playoffs, but they traded for Starling Marte, Yan Gomes, a bunch of other guys there. They tried to do it, and it came up just short. So he said, Bob, you know what? You can go to the Padres, stuff like that. And what was the conversation like? Oh, Bob's finally going to be on kind of like a big league roster. He's finally going to have a say. He's finally, you know what? Mm-hmm. He can let his wings open up, right, and fly, right? And then I just think about that first playoff run he had in San Diego, and it was kind of apropos seeing him back in Philly this week and leaving him pitcher into the too long. I just have that lasting image of Shamanaya on the Padres getting absolutely destroyed
by Bryce Harper,
Schwarber, all those guys mashing him, and Bob Melvin just not knowing what to do because he never knows what to do with the pitching staff, never knows what to do with the bullpen. He's always had that whether it was with the A's, whether it was the Padres, now at the Giants. I just don't think he is the guy to take this team over the top. I never have, and I never will, because he hasn't shown that in his past.
Just really quick, in regards to just kind of what flamed out with the Padres there, just from conversations I had with people who knew, they pointed at the four superstars they had there last year: Soto, Tatis, Bogarts, Machado. The four of them really had huge issues getting along. You got three guys who were making $300 million, and then you also got Juan Soto. They all want to be the guy in that clubhouse. All that kind of led to basically a toxic atmosphere that kind of developed in that clubhouse. Remember, Padres, they were good that first year under Bob Melvin, just as they were that first year under Jace Tingler. A.J. Preller does a great job down there. He's been there for about 8 or 9 years. He's got about 8 or 9 managers in his time there. Yeah. I'm not trying to take the blame away from Bob Melvin why things went south down there. You just asked the question, why didn't things not work out in San Diego? Bob Melvin, a part of the equation. I don't think he's the entire equation of that whole issue.
Well, Farhan's working on his third manager in 6 years. The Giants had 3 managers in like 20. And when it comes to Dusty Baker, Felipe Alou, and Bruce Bochy, think about that. Dusty Baker hired in 93. Bochy ended up forced out the door in 2018. That is 3 managers in 25 years. Farhan's working on 3 in 6. 3 and 6.
And you know what? The Padres, Bonte, they were a doormat for most of my life. They were just god awful. They were horrible. They had the worst uniforms, uninspiring. And then things changed with A.J. Preller. So I'll say that. He gave a level of respectability. I know that first go-around, what was it? They traded for the Upton brothers. They did all those big trades. Hosmer, all those guys. Yeah, Big Game James. Oh, God, he was horrible. But they got Tatis out of that. They flipped that to Chicago. You remember that? To the White Sox. Ended up getting Tatis back in that, I want to say. So it ended up working out there. But Big Game James. God, what a horrible name for James Shields. In his Royals career, remember that in 2014.
It's like we call tall people tiny.
Yeah, it's the worst. But I say all that to say, as Guru likes to say, the level of expectations have risen to the point in San Diego where they're not going to handle one playoff run and then just not making it the next year. They're not going to deal with that anymore. And that should be the Giants' mindset. How do the San Diego Padres, who haven't won bleep my entire life, have higher expectations and standards than the San Francisco Giants, who have won 3 World Series in the last decade.
Because their front office is serious. Their front office is serious, and the Giants' front office is not.
And what was
serious.
And what was it, Bonte? The owner passed away, and his name is blanking on me, and I apologize because it's very serious. He passed away within the last year, and he wanted to see a World Series before he passed. He was very sick, and now there's new changes at ownership. They weren't sure if they were going to spend. Oh, they're not going to re-sign Snell. Are they getting cheap? What do they go out and do? They go out and get the best hitter in baseball last season in Luis Ariz and says, you know what? We're doubling down.
Well, how about this? Somebody's asking here, JW, panic meter on the Giants.
Oh.
Giants fans, is it time to panic? Look, let's be realistic. You're only 36 games into it. It's a rough road trip. There's a chance they come back at home and go 4-2, although it's unlikely against the Dodgers or Reds. But it's a long way to go.
Peter Seidler.
But where is your panic meter when it comes to the Giants? Are you concerned? Are you slightly concerned? Are you at, as we do on Warriors pre- and post-game live, everybody panic? Where are you at with the Giants? Are you panicking, Lubman? Are you panicking? Are you
I'm going to start this off. Do we want to do scale 1 to 10, scale 1 to Either way, it doesn't matter. My panic meter is very, very low right now. And the reason is
you're not panicking?
No, I'm not. I'm not panicking right now because,
surprised.
as I said, it was predictable. I expect this team to play just like this.
This team has hurt him so bad that he predicted this before.
Basically, all the panic's been beaten out of me at this point. No, and I still do believe that there is time for this team to turn things around. They haven't been fully together yet. They're not going to be fully together until Robbie Ray shows up. The thing I've always been saying, and I'm not going to start panicking until we get to this date, July 21st. If you could just be at minimum 3 games out of a playoff spot on July 21st, that gives us 10 days here on the Morning Roast and all the other shows to bang on the table like we're J. Jonah Jameson demanding pictures of Spider-Man saying, Farhan, go get me a hitter. We have 10 days to do that in that situation. And then when he inevitably does not do that, then that gives us 2 months to then panic and bang on the table and say, get Farhan out of here.
Well, I don't want pictures of Brandon Belt. I want pictures of Shohei Ohtani.
Well, it looks like this team is like 3 hitters away, not just one. When you look at this lineup.
Well, if you're Farhan Zaidi, you're basically president of baseball operationing for your career right now. You have no excuse not to go all into the deadline. Otherwise, you're just not going to be back next year.
Well, seat's not hot, according to Tim Kirkjian, so he's chilling.
Well, Giants are chilling. She is saying that panic was so 2016. However, she's in the grave at this point. Oh my God. Estimate Deus? I forgot what her name is. I'm sorry. But she's in the grave at this point on YouTube. Morelli, Bonte, the Giants season is officially done at the 35 games into the season. I cannot see the spirit within the team. Fozzie, 36 games with this roster, and payroll is enough for us to know. Aztec Pride, we have been on panic mode for 3 seasons, Bonte. JW, lifelong Giants fan. Last couple years, I've been out on them. I think it's the perfect time to panic. That's another one. That's from EB here. EB here. I think it's a perfect time to panic. I'm numb at this point in Jay LaFrey. It is what it is of Giants baseball.
That's the worst thing you could say. It is what it is like when your parents say something to you when you
Estimated
know
eyes. Estimated eyes.
There
I'm sorry.
Go.
Estimated eyes. She's a good
That's
one.
the name?
Estimated eyes. Yeah, Estimated eyes. She told me before.
Okay.
Estimated eyes.
It is what
She's in the grave at this point. She's in the grave.
I'm looking at the tenure of Farhan Zaidi, Bonte, and it's come clear now. I mean, we can just say without a shadow of a doubt, it was Billy Beane. It was always Billy Beane in Oakland. It wasn't Farhan Zaidi. It was never that. It was Billy Beane, and then with the Dodgers, it was Andrew Friedman. It wasn't Farhan. This whole thing that we were sold on, well, actually, the Dodgers have won all these divisions.
Oh, they gave Farhan all the credit.
Because it was Farhan Zaidi.
Yeah, no Andrew Friedman.
The A's won all those AL West titles.
Heard that for 4 years. Like, Andrew Friedman didn't build the Tampa Bay Rays, and he gets no credit. It was, Farhan drafted these players. It was Farhan picks. It was Farhan this and Farhan that, Farhan this. And that is the most disappointing thing thus far of the Farhan Zaidi era, is that the farm system hasn't gotten better. Which one of these players are going to pop? Can I see Luciano for credit? Can I see Ramos and Matos? When are we going to see these dudes? Like Kyle Harrison, God bless his soul. It's been playing well. That's one guy who's popped. Logan Webb has gotten better under Farhan Zaidi. He has. Yes, I give him credit for that. Wilbur Flores has been a solid pro with the Giants, although he's a platooner right now. Lamont Wade Jr.'s been okay.
That's just okay is the synonymous with the Giants the last 2 years. Yeah, they're just okay. Like, Marco Luciano is a myth at this point. He is George R.R. Martin's, newest book, The Winds of Winter. It's never going to come out. It's a myth, Bonte. It's not happening. We'll never have the end of Game of Thrones except that dumpster fire that was the last season, which is kind of synonymous with what the Giants are right now. The last season of Game of Thrones.
You know what?
It's not good.
Never go full season 8 of Game of Thrones.
No. You know what's funny?
Going Stannis, fighting all those guys at the north, and it's not ending well.
I already see what's about to happen, too.
Hi, how are you?
With the Giants. I already see what's about to happen. They'll win 2 or 3 in Colorado. They'll come home.
They're back.
They might win 2 or 3 against the Reds.
They're heating up.
And then the Dodgers are going to come to town. And all other fans are going to take over Oracle Park. There's going to be nothing but blue in that stadium. And the Dodgers are going to do damage that weekend. And everybody's going to say, boy, look at the Dodger fans take over Oracle Park. It is Dodger Stadium North. And that's all happened. Let's see, over the last 6 to 7 years. It's all happened right here with Mookie Betts and Shohei Ohtani. And that, I feel like, will be a breaking point for Giants fans. Once they see that image and they're on the losing end of some big-time games against the Dodgers.
8.5.
Why now? Why this time did the Dodgers take? I've been to so many Giants-Dodgers games over the last 6-7 years prior to Farhan and seeing the Dodger fans take over this ballpark, and it's driven me nuts every single time.
Well,
Bruce Bochy's last game as a Giant was basically a Dodger home game.
Well, I tell you why. Because this is year 6 of Farhan, and I think people have had it up to here. They're fed up officially. You spend all this money, you bring in Chapman, you bring in Snell, you bring in Soler, you sell it to the fan base. Hey, man, we're an attractive destination. We're in on all these players. I think this will be it for fans.
Like this next week is going to be finally when the message finally settles in.
I mean, when Shohei Ohtani hits a grand slam in the top of the 9th of Camilo Doval, I think that's when everyone's going to be fed up.
I bet you Brian and Palo Alto's fed up.
Oh,
I'm sure he's not happy with what he's saying for the black and orange or orange and black.
Presence.
BPA, what's happening?
Needed this.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, I mean, look, year 6, guy's an unmitigated failure, and I don't hate Bob Melvin, but Gabe, I didn't love Gabe Kapler, but it was not a Gabe Kapler issue. It's not a Bob Melvin issue. It's a Farhan Zaidi issue. And, I mean, the fact that you guys are the only ones that have the guts in this area to actually speak the truth on this. And, all these other sort of beat guys and media guys covering the Giants are just, basically too intimidated to tell the truth,
BPA,
yeah, I think it's,
What is it about that? Because in this market,
I think it's what the Giants do well is they terrify the people that cover the team, and they threaten, access for, favorable coverage, or at least, turning a blind eye to, organizational incompetence. I mean, Farhan, he did literally everything he believed in. He did a complete 180 on in the off season, right? Just to sort of, get himself another contract. But would Kapler be getting more out of this team? Probably, right? And that's not really an endorsement of Kapler, but they probably would win a couple more games because of all the things that he was doing that we hated. But it turns out that, that was really kind of necessary to get the most out of a terrible roster.
Yep. No, right? I'm with you.
Where's the farm system?
I'm with you.
Where's the farm system? Year 6.
Year 6, no farm BPA.
It's down in Hollister on the actual farm. It's cow pies out there is what it is right now. A bunch of doo-doo.
And honestly, BPA, I'll keep you on the line here. I'll admit this. I'll admit this to everybody out there. I try to be as open-minded as possible about this Giants roster. But I knew damn well when they signed Chapman what was coming. When they signed Soler, I knew what was coming. I mean, come on, Brian, PPA, you've been watching baseball a long time. Soler's had 2 years in which he's hit more than 14 home runs. 2 years. And we act like this guy's going to be the right-handed Barry Bonds for us.
I mean, again, it all comes down to the developmental system for the Giants, right? Remember, Marco Luciano was supposed to be the everyday shortstop, right?
Did he came up with that at night? He was supposed to be the everyday
shortstop. They don't even want to say his name anymore, right? And so, this farm with the hitters, why the reason they're not calling these hitters up, in my opinion, I mean, obviously it's not everyone has to agree with that, but my opinion is that, they know they don't have the goods. And once they punt on all the veterans and bring the kids up and the kids flop, Farhan is dead man walking, right?
Brian,
that's why he's not calling them up.
real quick. One more, Brian, for you real quick before you go. Is he gone? We got him?
No, he's still on.
Okay. More likely the Warriors move off of Klay Thompson or Klay Thompson moves off the Warriors?
God. You know what? I'm going to wait on the Warriors after seeing the Timberwolves last night.
Oh my God.
And we're so far away from being a contending team that it's really Klay Thompson's irrelevant in that discussion, right? Like they need so much that they don't have that, let's just see what they do. Hopefully Joey's left.
There you go. Hopefully Brian Palo Alto calls back because I love him. I think it's time for the injury report, though.
Yeah, let's go to the injury report. We get to Matt and Renda on the other side when it comes to Farhan, and then we'll get to Klay Thompson. There, it is funny. My boy Travis Irby, shout out to Travis Irby, and I'm a 49er. A lot of people were hating on Bonte when he was on Farhan's bumper. A lot of Giants fans hating on Bonte. Where they at now? Well, listen, it's not even about that. I just try to call it like I see it.
It's not hate either to just say what we see. It's just not good.
Well, no, it's just fans being so optimistic. Bonte, you're too hard on Farhan.
Well, no, and
Farhan's really good at his job. Farhan this. And I've been on Farhan since 2021.
Yeah. And I'll
I just
speak to
don't
that
see it.
because Bonte, you and I, we've gone back and forth this, and I know we're up against it here. But my whole thing of why I kind of want to push back on this, I did want to give Farhan some run to actually kind of see if he could turn this around. I think I gave him far more run than most fans, far more run than he deserved. It's at the point where that run is over. So there was once a time where you can maybe squint your eyes and try and convince yourself that it was worth waiting. That moment has long passed.
Yeah,
and with that,
I'm over it.